Hi guys, my name's Jack from the Juicy Bright Stuff. This is just going to be a short video about this month's coffees, how we brewed them, and some tips on how to get the best out of them. If you've not watched our last video or read our blog on coffee extraction, I'd recommend that you have a quick read of that before you watch this video. It might help you understand some of the things that we're talking about. So this month we've got 3 coffees. We've got the Wush Wush from Simo Coffee Roasters. This is from the Cundinamarca region in Colombia. We've got the Costa Rica from Simo as well. This is from the Tarazu region. And we've got a Kenyan from Clifton, which is from the Embu region in Kenya. So the first coffee I'm going to talk about is the Colombian Wush Wush. Wush Wush is the variety of tree that the coffee is grown on. It's quite a rare variety and it's very rare to find it in Colombia. It's believed to have originated in Ethiopia in the village of Wush Wush, and it's not known how it got to Colombia, but it's been compared to geisha in the kind of interesting flavours it produces. So this coffee is an anaerobic natural process, which means the coffee cherry is picked and it's placed whole in a tank that is in an anaerobic environment, which means it has no oxygen, and it's left in there in this case for 96 hours. If you've not tried coffee that's anaerobically fermented before, you might find this coffee very interesting. It's got really strong, boozy, winey flavours, and also got a really high acidity and kind of a tropical sweetness and acidity. So for this coffee, you only have 50 grams. So I'd recommend doing three brews and use 15-gram dose for each brew. All the brews that I'm going to talk about were done on a V60. So for this coffee, I recommend that you do a little experiment with 3 extractions. So 1 lower, medium extraction, 1 medium extraction, and then 1 really high extraction. And this will give you a broad range of the different flavours you can get from the coffee. So as we said in the last video, the lower extraction you'd expect to be more acidic, brighter. The medium one would still have lots of acidity, but you'd have a bit more sweetness. And the high extraction would still have some acidity, some sweetness, but it would be balanced between the two, and you may get a bit of bitterness as well. In this case, one of the taste notes in the coffee is cacao nibs, and on the higher extraction one, we got a really nice flavour of cacao nibs that really balance with the acidity and the sweetness. So to do this experiment, I recommend for the low extraction, you do 15 grams in to 250 water, and you have a brew time of about 2 minutes 30. We found this one taste notes pineapple, apple, really bright tropical acidity and sweetness. You didn't get many of the winey, boozy flavours. You can taste it a little bit in the background, but not as much as the other two brews that we did. For the medium extraction, again, do 15 grams in, 250 out, and for this one you want your brew time to be around 3 minutes, so it's pushed up a little bit more, so you want to grind a little bit finer for this one. This one you get the same acidic, nice pineapple, apple flavours, still some of the tropical acidity, but it's balanced a bit more with some of the sweetness, and the winey kind of boozy flavours. And then for the last one, we did 15 grams in, 260 water, and we pushed the brew time up to 3 minutes 30. This one we had a little bit more texture, a little bit more of the cacao flavours, but also, like I said, really balanced with the tropical sweetness and acidity. Definitely for us, the last one was our favourite one. We found it most balanced of all the 3 flavours. But hopefully with this little experiment, you'll taste the difference in how extraction can affect the flavour of the coffee. So the next coffee I'm going to talk about is the Kenyan from Clifton. This coffee is a washed coffee, which means the cherry is picked. The cherry is removed from the bean, and it's fermented for 4 to 6 days in a water tank, and then it's dried on raised beds. Generally, washed coffee is really clean, crisp, bright, as you would expect from something that's washed. And for this coffee, again, we did quite a high extraction and a quite long brew time. So we did 15 grams in to 260 out, and we had a 3 minute 40 brew time. For us, the taste notes of this coffee were blueberry, a citrus-like acidity, and a honey-like sweetness. And again, depending on how you extract the coffee, you can get a different balance of these flavours. But with this brew that we did, we found there's a really nice balance between the sweetness, acidity, and then the blueberry flavour as well. We found that if we pushed the extraction a little bit more, we lost a bit of the acidity, but you get more of the honey and blueberry flavours. and if you extract the coffee less, we found it was just too acidic and was missing some of the sweetness. So this was the best balanced cup that we had. The last coffee is the Costa Rican coffee. This is a red honey process, which means the coffee cherry is picked, the cherry is removed from the bean, leaving the mucilage intact, which is a sticky layer that is around the coffee bean. The coffee is washed very lightly and it's left to dry on a raised bed. And because it still has a lot of that sticky mucilage layer intact, that then dries onto the outside of the bean and it turns into a red colour, and that's why it's called red honey process. This coffee is kind of a mixture between the natural process and the washed process, so you get a mixture between the two flavours. So you might find you get some boozy fermenty flavours, but it can also be quite clean as well, depending on how long it's been fermented for. So we found this coffee really interesting to brew. We found the brew time at the same grind setting as where we normally start was much longer. This could be down to various reasons. Could be the roast, the coffee variety, or the processing method. But we found this coffee had so much acidity and so much sweetness, we could push the extraction and the strength much higher than normal. Just for a comparison, most coffees that we drink, we measure on our refractometer, which measures the total dissolved solids of the coffee, which is just the percentage of coffee that you've got compared to the water. Normally we enjoy brews at 1.4% to 1.45% total dissolved solids. This coffee we found at those lower levels lacked body, and it was just really acidic. So we pushed this coffee right up to 1.6% TDS, which is not normally where we would brew. And also we had a brew time of 4 minutes to 4.5 minutes, which is also really long. And the main flavour we got from this was orange, the sweetness of an orange, the acidity of an orange, and also some floral notes as well. And because the coffee is so bright, didn't have a really full body, we found that pushing the strength up gave it a bit of body, and it also gave it a lot of sweetness to balance out the acidity. So we really hope you enjoy this month's coffees. Please take the time to join our forum on Discord. It's free to join. We really want as many people on there to be discussing the coffee, sharing brewing tips, and just meeting other people that like interesting, juicy coffees.